My checker here, and we're not going to do our intro. I didn't like the intro.
No.
It was one of those things where I did it and instantly regretted it once I published it. And I didn't like that.
That probably goes into a lot when people do podcasts, honestly.
It probably does, but...
That's what, you live and you learn. That's all it is.
That was a live and learn moment that I don't want to repeat, and we're just going to go into our checkers and wreckers here. And when our checkers and wreckers segment is throughout the weekend, Preston and I watch the races, and then we'll pick our pretty much who did great in the weekend and who did in our picks of who made poor decisions and did poorly throughout the weekend. And there's only one checker from this weekend, and that was me. And it was Rafael Lessard winning his first truck race at Talladega. Very cool for him. I listened to it on MRN since I was working. And I was very happy to hear him. It was a wreck fest, at least for the truck series there at Talladega, as was for the Cup race, I feel. Not so much the Xfinity. But he's our only checker this week here in the Marbles at Rafael Lessard. But then we go into our wreckers, and our wreckers, and Preston and I picked the same one. And this is where we get into the whole conversation, man. Our wreckers was NASCAR.
Yep.
And man, this has been the talk of the town since the checker flag fell at Talladega.
In the Cup race.
Sunday afternoon for the Cup race.
Yep.
Big scramble getting to the finish line. Chase Elliott going below the yellow line. Denny Hamlin going below the yellow line. Both being forced.
I like how you put that in air quotes.
I'm going to put that in air quotes. Forced below the yellow line. And I was unaware of this rule that NASCAR had, that if you force someone below the yellow line, you get penalized.
Well, yeah, they've added on to that, the whole double yellow line rule in... Yeah, they've added on to the whole double yellow line rule in years past, or I guess recently. So, if you went below the double yellow line to advance your position, you get penalized. But now they've added it to where if you get forced as well, then the driver that forced you gets penalized. And there's a fine line on that one. Let's put it that way.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, and that's why when we get into it, when I'll explain my reasons as to why I'll try and clear everything up.
All right, you'll try to clear everything up, but I don't think you will for me. Because here's what I saw. We saw an outstanding race Sunday afternoon at Talladega. Drama, points changing all the time, playoff drivers getting eliminated from the race due to accidents, due to every which way. Austin Dillon looked like he was involved in every accident today. So did Kyle Busch. Kurt Busch was lucky he won last week in Las Vegas, because he was secured 100% through that, even with that crazy wreck he had there at the start-finish line. But I tell you one thing. That last lap was so exciting that even my wife, who's not a big fan, was very blown away by it. She was so excited about it. She says, that was awesome. That was an awesome race. I was looking at it, and when they came to the line during the initial push, before they did replays or anything, I thought Matty D had him. I thought DiBenedetto had him. But then you slow down, and you saw Hamlin win. But then them investigating, NASCAR's investigating, they went below the yellow line. Ooh, drama here.
Yep.
What's going to happen? And then it comes back. He got forced below the yellow line, no penalty, but penalty for...
Matt DiBenedetto.
Matt DiBenedetto for forcing
William Byron
down the line. And then a penalty for...
Stenhouse.
Chris Buescher.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Buescher.
Forcing Hamlin down the line. Now, again, I don't recall any point where NASCAR came out and said, and this is probably just me, lack of paying attention, that if you force someone below the yellow line, you're going to get a penalty. Mm-hmm. I don't like that at all. And here's the reason why. Because what if you're in the middle, somebody came down, you're avoiding them, and then you force someone below the yellow line on the inside if you're 3 wide and you're in the middle. That's the scenario I'm trying to plan out here. You, in turn, tried to save your car and everybody else from wrecking by forcing this guy below the yellow line, and you get penalized. No, that's not the way it works. It's racing. It's racing And if you want to play that game, NASCAR, penalize both drivers. One for going the yellow line and advancing, because I think that should be the golden rule. If you go below the yellow line and advance, like Hamlin did, to win that race, he shouldn't have won.
Yeah.
If you got forced below the yellow line, it doesn't matter. You're below the yellow line and you still advance. You still got forced below the yellow line and advanced your position. And it shouldn't be that gray at all. Both drivers should be penalized, in my opinion. We could go for 3 hours on this. We could. Because it made me so mad. I was just blown away at the end of that race. And I felt so bad for Matt DiBenedetto. And I got a clip after the race of his interview. And you hear the disappointment. It was just like Bristol 2019 night race.
Deja vu.
It was, like he said, deja vu all over again. But I was so bummed. And going into it, this has been the talk of the town. Get rid of the yellow line rule, double yellow line rule. And for those of you who don't know what the double yellow line rule is at Daytona and Talladega, being in that pack, the way the rules are, is if you go below the double yellow line, which is out of bounds, and advance your position, NASCAR will penalize you. You have to come in for the penalty or go to the rear of the field, whatever it may be. Usually it's coming for a stop-go penalty. And then I guess now if you force someone below the yellow line, you're going to get penalized as well. Take away the yellow line rule. At least on the last lap, let them go at it.
Mm-hmm.
But then people might say, you're playing double standards. You can't have the rule put on pause for one lap. And I get that. But at the same time, come on, man. You took away. I think NASCAR blew it with that call. And a lot of people might not agree with me. That's the rule. Well, it's an outdated rule. It's stupid. They don't follow it all the time. Good example, Dale Earnhardt Jr. a few years ago went below the yellow line. They didn't call that because, heaven forbid, you call out and take a win away from Dale Earnhart Jr.
Most popular driver.
At Talladega. Oh, heaven forbid. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, but Denny Hamlin going below the yellow line, advancing his position, forced or not, you went below the yellow line. I think either way, DiBenedetto, if both rules were in place, wouldn't have won. I don't know who finished third. Busher?
Honestly, I don't know. I didn't really look after that because
it didn't
upset
really
about the weekend.
It was such a disappointing weekend. What could have been a great weekend. And was a good weekend. It was an outstanding race.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see in my rating the race why it was. But NASCAR blew it, in my opinion. They blew the call, and I'm curious to hear your opinion on why.
I'm just going to stretch it out here because I'm about to get into something.
Following the race, NASCAR, they're your records for the weekend too, and curious to hear why, Preston.
So, let's go. Before this whole overtime, what it was just like 3 green, white checkers or whatever, let's go right in between these. And what I have to say first is, do we think NASCAR races are too long? And I say this why, because they moved coverage from NBC to NBCSN before the race was over. Oh, yeah. That's the first thing that really...
Yeah, during the red flag, the local news came on, and I was thinking, what happened to the race?
Exactly. They cut in, they said, hey, we're moving to NBCSN, your local news is up next. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. Really? The first thing that came to my mind was, now, are we making these races way too long? And second of all, you just made a lot of NASCAR fans very angry for those people that are watching it on a local station.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're switching it over.
Because not everybody has NBCSN.
Exactly. And so of course, I had to go, and I was like, so let me go change, and let me go to NBCSN. I'm like, you got to be kidding. I'm probably missing. Good thing it's a red flag because
you didn't miss
I'm
anything.
Missing a lot of things. But I'm not. I wasn't missing anything. I was listening to Matt DiBenedetto's radio, and I heard Jeff Burton cut in because they were going to do a TV interview real quick.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. So I'm thinking NASCAR's really making me angry because we're switching. Why are we switching before this race is even over if it's just local news coming on? Big deal.
Right.
Local news can wait, whatever. So then it got me thinking, are races way too long? Who knows? We've always had that debate in the past. Sometimes races can be too long. I think Formula One races are just the right amount of time. Hour and a half and you're done.
Yeah.
This race took what? What time did we start at? Like after 2:30 yesterday afternoon?
Yeah.
And it was, what time did we end? 5:30, 6 o'clock or something like that? I can't remember.
Well, there were quite a number of accidents and
there you go.
Some cautions.
And the unnecessary, as I always say it, I think I'm getting tired of stage racing.
Okay.
But we'll save that for another day.
Another day right there.
We get into the double yellow line rule. That's where I really wanted to get into after that whole switching networks thing. And there's a couple different factors in it. Was Hamlin forced below the yellow line? That's what they kept talking. Oh, well, Denny Hamlin was forced below the yellow line. I went back and looked at that replay about 10 times already. That man was not forced below the line. He saw those guys coming, and he said, oh, I'm just going to go left.
That's what I saw, too.
And first of all, he was forced, because those guys had hit each other, and they were coming back down the track. So they were talking about, who was it, Chris Buescher? They said, Buescher forced him. No, Buescher him and Eric Jones made contact, and those guys were coming down the track. Hamlin said, oh, I see them. I'm just going to go ahead and cut onto the apron. He passes them, and then he goes on to pass a couple more people and win the race.
Yeah.
I look at it like this. So you're going to penalize the guy that's forcing people below the yellow line, but if you listen to spotters' radios, when I was listening to DiBenedetto on that last lap, and his spotter said, come down, you need to block. He came all the way down. At that point, your spotter can't see from that angle where you're coming down at, if you're going to clear him or not. How are you going to put it on a guy that is going to force him below the yellow line, but you're just trying to protect the lead? I mean, you can't tell in that instance.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a fine line. If it's on the backstretch, I can understand. But here's the thing. I understand that there are rules, but I am one of those people that is starting to think that we don't need that rule anymore. I think the double yellow line rule is pointless. It was put in place, I read it was put in place to prevent big accidents, like on the backstretch when people would get forced out and then try and come back into traffic. Well, at some point, if you take that rule away, the drivers will govern themselves and figure, if I get forced below here, maybe I shouldn't come onto the track because I'm going to cause an accident and a lot of angry people at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, it's different if it's in the turns. I can understand if it's dangerous if you force somebody below the apron because you're talking, 0 to a couple of degrees banking versus whatever the banking in the turn is. I mean, just the snap of a finger, that's going to cause an accident. But on the backstretch and on the front straightaway, I mean, come on, let's be real here. But what I really want to get to is I don't think Denny Hamlin should have won the race yesterday, and I don't think DiBenedetto should have been penalized at the same time. But DiBenedetto also lost a lot of speed, I think, because of the oil dry. People could say, oil dry doesn't do anything, but he couldn't see in the car to begin with. He even said that on the radio when he was coming off of turn 4 and all that oil dry is still there.
Yeah.
Like, can NASCAR not clear all of that up? Is there not a way to get all of that off the track? Because he ran through a lot and looked like he was a snowplow.
Yeah, it looked like that too.
So
I saw that.
What I'm saying is NASCAR, you blew it. Denny Hamlin should not be the winner of this race, and then they wanted to create the controversy on TV. Oh, Denny Hamlin might get penalized. Oh, just kidding. He's not going to get penalized. But Matt DiBenedetto is, and he's going back to the end of the line.
The 21st, man.
Yeah, so thanks, NASCAR, for that one. That's my rant for the today.
Man, I tell you, man, and it's been the talk of the town. I'm trying to wrap my head around it and speak intelligently about this, but I'm so flustered about this decision that NASCAR made that it boggles my mind of what happened. It was a great finish. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
The whole weekend with all 3 series was good racing, tough racing. Like we said, a lot of playoff drivers got involved in accidents. Kyle Busch is now not necessarily in a must win, but Eric Almirola is. Austin Dillon is. Clint Boyer is. They're in must wins going to the Roval. Another big wild card coming up. And Denny Hamlin played possum the whole day. Was in the right place at the right time. So he did what he needed to do to survive 499 miles to be there at the final mile to win, which is fine.
Yep.
As part of the strategy at Daytona and Talladega. But man, I think he had room. And you can look at it just both ways. It should be black and white, and it's not anymore. The yellow line rule has become contaminated with politics and stuff, and I don't understand why Chase Elliott got his penalty overturned.
That's another one. I looked at that replay too. Why? Clearly looking at that replay, Chase Elliott was already committing to going below the line to get by Buescher, and then Buescher came down. Why are you going to penalize Buescher if Elliott is already making that move?
Right.
He wasn't forced. Elliott was already forcing his hand to go out of the way, to go down there.
Yeah.
But now they want to say, oh, we're going to take it away. It's actually Chris Buescher. We're not going to penalize Chase Elliott. I'm kind of seeing a trend here.
I didn't like that. I
hate to say I'm seeing a trend, but like Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott, two big people in NASCAR, and they're not getting penalties. It's almost like what we saw at Monza with Lewis Hamilton when Giovinazzi got his penalty. I swear it was so quick, and then Lewis Hamilton didn't get his penalty handed down until after a red flag.
Yeah,
we had to wait so long for it. What was going on here?
Man, and I don't think it should be political like that. And we'll go back to the Dale Jr. incident.
Yeah.
I forget what year it was, but everybody remembers it. If you've been a fan of NASCAR since before, I'd say 2002, when they came out with this rule, that Dale Jr. around turn 3 and 4 got forced below the yellow line, forced, pushed down, whatever. You could say one of the two. It depends on if you cheer for him or not, if he was forced or went down there. But then advanced his position and won the race. Well, he went below the yellow line, but he didn't get penalized.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this whole thing just brings into light, like, NASCAR's inconsistencies with this yellow line rule. It's caused, I think, a lot more problems in the 19 years that it's been in place.
I mean, you look at it, and them saying DiBenedetto forcing William Byron below the line, but they were both racing for the win.
Oh, yeah.
When they came back to the line, they were still there.
Yeah, they were all racing.
It's not like William Byron got knocked way out of the way. And I don't know. Like, I wanted to be fair, and like, Danny Hamlin won, that was great. And then they wanted to say, oh, did he go below the yellow line? Oh, look, he looks like he got forced. I'm like, no, what do you mean it looks like he got forced? He was already going to commit.
Yeah.
He already saw them coming, and he said, well, you know what, I might as well just drive left. And it just happened it happened all within probably a second to half a second. It's just the timing. So some people will say, oh, he was forced, and some people will say, well, if you really look at it, it doesn't look like it. And DiBenedetto, I mean, I don't know. I think the WO line rule has run its course.
Oh, it's
I think it's
done.
I think it's done.
We'll see.
You know what? If, like I said, the drivers will govern themselves at some point, and they'll learn that, you know what, if we go below this, if we go onto the apron and come back up, we're going to cause an accident. There's going to be a lot of people that are angry. You know, the drivers will figure it out at some point. But I think the whole yellow line rule is just, it's ridiculous.
It is, I think.
And it could be for safety as well, as far as the tri-oval goes with the stands there. But, dude, I mean, what else can we do?
I don't know.
It's a dangerous sport to begin with.
I don't know, man. It's and like we said, we could talk about this. We've been talking about this for the past 15 minutes or so, and we could talk about this until we're blue in the face and go around in this big circle and then come right back at the start of it and say, well, how do we fix it, or what happened? It's like you can't, man. And being podcasters and fans of the sport, we can't fix it at all.
No, we can just complain about it.
I think the NASCAR Fan Council is going to get an earful from the fans about that, especially the Benedetto fans. Chase Elliott fans are happy now. Oh, our driver's back in 5th. You know, the Benedetto fans are not happy, and you can't make everybody happy. Of course, if you're a Kyle Busch fan, you did not have a good weekend at all. In fact, you haven't had a good 2020.
You know, the fans really let them know it as well. In the stands when Denny Hamlin was being interviewed and they were booing him.
I just heard Matty D.
And then the camera cut to Matt DiBenedetto for his interview, and the crowd was loving it.
Speaking of that, I got a clip. I got his interview here from NBC SN, and I want you guys to hear it. It's the passion in his voice. We are here, and the fans are here complaining about everything. But listen to this guy. Listen to Matt DiBenedetto and just how humble he is during this interview.
It's just a crazy finish. I haven't even been able to really process it. I'm just really want to get this thing in victory lane. Menards, Tuscany Fawcett's his team. Oh, sorry, the emotions from, God, I feel like it's the same story. A lot of times, just heartbreak. My wife And I have had a stressful week again. Just not uncertainty. Fighting, man, my whole career is a fight for my life. But I'm so appreciative of this team. The Wood Brothers, I want this 100th win for the Woods so bad. Our alliance with Team Penske Ford, I appreciate them putting me in this car. It's so much fun to drive and have a shot to win. And Denny did a great job. Deja vu, holy cow. But no, Denny, he deserves all the support in the world. He's an incredible racer. He was my biggest threat. I tried to block all I could. My spotter, Doug, did a great job. This is tough.
Not once did Matt DiBenedetto say he doesn't deserve it. Not once did Matt DiBenedetto curse NASCAR. He was so humble. And this is why people like Matt DiBenedetto. He's humble. He congratulated Hamlin. And he didn't say we should be down there doing donuts and not him. He didn't say the hell with NASCAR and their calls. This is crap and all that stuff. He took the high road. And this is why people like Matt DiBenedetto and think he's the feel-good story of NASCAR. It's because he doesn't shift blame. He could have won. Second time in a row, finishing second in 2 weekends is not bad. He can drive the car.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's saying Wood Brothers needs to re-sign him. I think they should. Not only because he's a good driver, but because he's humble and because he can take a loss, not like Kyle Busch.
I think,
that's my 2 cents on DiBenedetto.
Yeah, I think you explained it very well. I think that's, with him being humble and he can drive. I think that's the reason why Paul Menard decided that, hey, this is the guy that I want in the car for the Wood Brothers coming up because, Menard decided to step away a year early, but he said, I want to give this guy a shot. And DiBenedetto deserves all the credit. He deserves a shot. He's a great guy. I met him a couple years ago in Darlington. I got an autograph when he was driving the 32 car, Go Fast Racing. He was just like, I said, man, you really need to, I would love to see you in a better car, a new car next year or something, and he said, thanks for the support, man. We're working on it. And this is a guy that does not know where he's going to drive next year still. He's not signed for next year. He really wants to get that 100th win for the Wood Brothers, which would have been awesome to get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But like you said, he's not shifting blame. He congratulated Hamlin. It was an all-out great race, and he knows it.
Yep, he does, and you feel bad for him. I feel bad for him. Everybody feels bad for him in NASCAR because the fans feel like he got screwed out of another one, and
he's got but he shows the passion for the sport, and that's what's awesome about it.
Yep, and passion's everything.
Yeah, the passion is everything, and man, that guy's gonna get a win someday, but hopefully he can figure out, where he's gonna be next year. Because I think Wood Brothers hopefully doesn't pass up on him. It'd be really cool to see him back in that car again next year.
Yeah, it would be. A lot of people were saying now Austin Cindric's poised to go up into that seat, taking his place. I think that would be a bad call. And I think if that does happen, Kyle Larson's not going to that 48. I think maybe DiBenedetto, but another silly season prediction and or a what if on there. But I think he deserves another season in that car.
Yeah, he does.